Hey, everybody. Guess what? We are on plan. We're on track. And you know what? You're on track too. If you listened to the podcast a couple of months ago, 3 months ago to be exact, then you heard the episode where I did the end of Q1 review, the end of quarter one review with you. What I did in that episode is I did what a strategic plan does. What you hear me talking about all the time on the show is the need for us, big company, medium company, small company, newly starting out, trying to reinvent, just bought it, just selling, whatever it is. Every company needs an operating system, just like we build from blueprints. We do our best work when we have clean blueprints. For those of you that work with designers, when the designer gives you solid plans, you're able to produce great work, right? And when the designer or the homeowner or the commercial contractor doesn't give you really solid plans, really clear direction, you can't do your best work. Am I wrong or am I right? If I'm wrong, just hang up. You're not gonna appreciate this episode. If, however, you're a fan of getting good, clean, solid plans from the designer, from the contractor, making them yourself, getting your team to build them on behalf of clients, then you're going to appreciate this episode, because today we're going to talk about your business from the viewpoint of me. I'm a designer, kind of business turnarounds. That's my specialty in business. I've done it myself for my own companies. You guys have heard me talk about this before. I've started a couple of companies. I've sold a couple of companies. I failed. Oh, some beautiful swan dives on a couple of companies. And what I've done is learned. I've worked with lots of business owners, just like you, who have questions very similar to yours. And that's where all of this comes from, because I've gone out and gotten myself trained on how to do it right, because I did it wrong so many times. And what I learned back in around the year 2012, 2013, is that even though I was calling myself a business person, I wasn't following a plan. I had some strategies, I had some ideas. I had been dropped on my head as a child and thought, hey, I could be a business owner. Everybody else is doing it. But I didn't have a plan until around 2012, 2013, when I read a book from a guy named Vern Harnish, who's since become a friend of mine. And he wrote a book called Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. I'll tell you what, if you go to try and read that book, it's a tough read. You really have to want to read that book. Sorry, Vern, it is what it is. Anyways, Vern rewrote that book and made it more user-friendly, if you will. And now the book is called, or the next version of that book is called Scaling Up. It's an operating system for a business. Now, did Vern write it just for us in construction? No. You could pick it up if you're a bakery. You could pick it up if you're running a hospital. You could pick it up if you're running a service company that does janitorial for hospitals or only installs ventilation systems for hospitals all around the country. It doesn't matter. It's about the business of business. And actually, that's where I learned that the business of business is more important than the business I think I'm in. Is everybody still following me here? We're in the business of business. It just so happens that you're a contractor, that you're in construction, you do excavation, you do roofing, you do beautiful kitchen cabinets. Maybe you make furniture, but you're in the business of having a furniture company. You're in the business of having a pool company or a pool maintenance company or a roofing or a siding company. And that mindset is a very powerful one that separates you from the crowd. And today we're going to dig into that just a little bit more. So if you want an update, if you want additional info on this, go back and listen to the other episode that's related to this. It's called the end of Q1 review. And today we're doing the end of Q2 review. Q is the short term for quarter, end of quarter review. You've probably heard this in the news. Mega Bank reported record Q2 earnings this year of $14 billion. And you're thinking to yourself, how did they do that? And what's a Q? Well, in 3 months, Mega Bank made $14 billion. That's what they just said. Did they do that without a strategic plan? Not a chance. So I'm going to show you right now what it looks like at the end of quarter two. So we're following along a plan. If you're not doing quarterly strategic reviews right now, it's okay. I just want you to open your mind to the idea that you could do them. If you're not sure how to do them, get in touch with me. You guys know I always make that offer. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to have a real conversation with you. Right now, I'm talking to my computer. So I'd love to talk to a human about this. And if you have questions, get in touch with me. We'll have a conversation. Many of you have. I've never turned anybody away. I've always been able to provide some sort of value. Well, nobody's told me if I was not valuable. It's always been very polite. But I try to add value wherever I can or point you in the right direction. And sometimes the direction is working with me. Sometimes it's going to get a book. Sometimes it's taking a course at a community college, something local to you. Sometimes it's taking something online. I'll point you in some sort of direction that relates to the question you've got. I don't want to get off topic here. Today, we're going to jump into the end of Q2 review, as if you've built a strategic plan already. Now, a moment ago, I talked about Vern Harnish's book, which was Mastering the Rockefeller Habits, and then he rewrote it and he called it Scaling Up. The actual system that I use is a modification of that, and it's called EOS, which is the Entrepreneur Operating System. And that book is written by Gino Wickman. Go ahead and get it, get the audio, get the book. If you don't want to get the book, keep listening to the podcast, because this is exactly what I talk about. And this is the process that I used to build and sell my own companies. Just to give you some numbers for those of you that like statistics and numbers, using the EOS system, I was able to take a company from zero, like nothing, like, hey, let me build an Excel spreadsheet and see if this would work kind of business. And in 4 years, I got that to 120 million in sales. I was shipping packages all around the world. We did about 500,000 packages a year. In that company, I had staff of 160-ish, roughly 160. 120 were in a call center. That call center answered calls in 3 languages, and it operated, like a call center does, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. But I also had a shipping and packing facility that had 40 people in it, and those were specialists. They're actually pharmacists in there. And some of you are going, what the heck is Rubino doing with pharmacists? It's because I'm in the business of business, folks. It doesn't matter to me if it's pharmacists or engineers. We're running a company here, and a system can be used whether you're painting homes, or you've got HVAC techs, or you've got people you're training to be roofers that are just trying to get paid by the square, or you've got journeyman cabinetry people who've been with you for years. It doesn't matter. It's the business of business. It's how we build teams. It's how we make promises to customers and fulfill them. It's how we find the right customers. All of those things come together. Anyways, that's one success story, if you call that a success. It's funny, it's easy to talk about the successes. How about the failures? I've had a couple of business failures, just doozies. Usually my failures came out to when I didn't have a solid plan, or this might strike a chord with some of you, where I had a business partner who didn't agree with the same long-term plan that I had. Now, some of you are fist pumping in the air, yelling in your truck as you're driving, and you're saying, Dom, you nailed it. Well, my friend, that's a conversation we can have as well. If you're in a partnership, if you're in a family business, that takes a delicate dance. It's a dance I'm very familiar with because I've dealt with it many times, not only in my own companies, but with other construction professionals I've dealt with. So if you want, reach out to me anytime. I'll say the number here again. If you want to talk to me about this, make sure you're somewhere private when we finally have the phone call, and then let's talk. I mean, we're going to talk the business of the construction business, right? And it's going to be a great conversation. It's going to be like a live podcast just for you, but we won't be recording it. Reach out to me. My cell, as you guys know, is 604-837-8361. Just stop the episode right now, shoot me a text and say, Dom, let's talk. And then you know what we'll do? We'll talk. In the meantime, let's get to the episode. So in Q1 review, I talked about moonbeams and gumdrops. I talked about having an understanding of our values. That's an important part of the strategic plan, because when I look at my values, what's important to me, it also helps me understand the kind of people on my team and how those people serve our customers, because we really are here to serve. If I go out with the mindset, with the mentality that I'm here to help people, that's a good thing. People are always going to see that. It's easier to buy from somebody who you feel has your best interests at heart. And again, it doesn't matter if you're selling kitchen cabinets. It doesn't matter if you're selling architectural millwork to law firms. It doesn't matter if you're doing electrical installs for new homes or renovations or it just doesn't matter. But when people know they can trust you, they can trust you. And so you have to have that type of relationship built based on values. Does everybody in your company reflect your values? And you know in your gut if somebody in your team doesn't reflect your values. Well, in the strategic plan that I want you to build, you actually have to write down an action that needs to be taken around that. That's all in episode 1 or the Q1 review. Go listen to that one. Q2, what we're going to talk about here is how to build a 10-year plan. Fuzzy McGuzzy, 10-year plan, Rubino, seriously? I don't even know where I'm going to be in 10 years. Neither do I. I mean, I kind of know where I am because I've done my strategic plan. I've got plans. In 10 years, by the way, I will be 63 years old. Let that one fester for a while. Some of you listening to this show are 30 years old yourself. Some of you listening to the show are already 63 years old. Some of you are doing renovations, kitchens, roofing, electrical, cabinets, furniture. Some of you are family businesses. Some of you are totally solo. Some of you have partnerships. But having a strategic plan works no matter what. It's just like having blueprints to build a project properly, efficiently, effectively, and on time. So on time and on budget. And if you want to build your company the same way, then you've got to have a strat plan. If you need a strategic plan, get in touch with me. It's what I do all day long. But let's get into it now. How do you build a 10-year plan, a 10-year vision for your business? Well, I want you to get a piece of paper and I want you to sit down and I want you to remove all of the distractions that we get as a business owner. And there are so many, right? There's so many distractions. That's why I run the time management training all the time, because we have to learn how to get rid of those distractions so you can focus and do the valuable, the expensive work of a business owner, right? So you've heard me say this before. You're not going to be surprised. Some of you could probably quote this. I want you to get a blank piece of paper or a blank notebook. I want you to grab a pen, a couple of different colors. I want you to tell everybody in your office you're going to a meeting. Even if you're not meeting with me, say I've got an important meeting with Dominic and I need to go to a coffee shop to talk to him. Okay, now everybody knows boss is in a meeting. Even if you're not meeting me, you can tell people that. And they'll go, oh, well, you can't bother the boss. He's in a meeting with some guy named Dominic, right? Who's Dominic? It's me, right? Go to that coffee shop, turn off your cell phone, put in your headphones so that nobody comes and bugs you. If you want to listen to some music, listen to music. But what I want you to do is take that blank piece of paper and we're going to make a mess. We're going to destroy that piece of paper. The top of it, I just want you to say, my 10-year plan. On the left-hand side of that piece of paper, from top to bottom, I want you to write the things that are kind of important. How old are you now? How old is your wife? Be polite here. You can get a lot of trouble answering this question, right? How old are your children? How old is your car? How old is your fleet? How old is your truck, right? What are your sales right now? What's your profitability right now? So let me just stop for a second, folks. I want to point back at, we're building the left-hand column on this blank piece of paper. Today, I am this many years old. Underneath that, my wife is X years old. Underneath that, my kids are X years old. Right underneath that, write down my truck, my car, whatever is X years old. My fleet is X years old. Our compressor is X years old. Our CNC is X years old. Our revenue is X years old. Our profits is, wait, did I say our revenue is X years old? Sorry. Our revenue is X. Our profits are X. You know, this is what my team looks like today. But what we're trying to do is get a picture here. I'm going to create columns on this page, right? So now down the left-hand side, you've got some places that you could start thinking about, because I want you to build a 10-year plan so you have a vision, right? If you ever get on the phone with me and we have an appointment, which by the way, I hope we do one day, I'm here to help. I love what I do. I'm the luckiest guy in the entire world because I get to do what I love doing, which is working with business owners who are tackling the big problems in their life and who have the motivation to do something about it. So when we sit down and get on a call, we're going to talk about where you are today and where you want to get to. I've heard the craziest things about where people want to get to. What I've also heard is people a little bit shy to say things to me that you should say to me. I'm exactly the guy that you're not shy with. If you say, Dom, I want to work less and I want to make more, that's my 10-year plan. Okay. If you say, I want to work just as hard as I am now, but I want to take home another $20,000, I need you to get a bigger vision, my friend. Way bigger vision. Way bigger vision. And I can show you how to do that. This exercise is going to help. It's going to help. It's not everything, but it's going to help you get focused on what you want. Remember, this is your company. You get to call the shots. And so this is our 10-year plan. This is how we build a 10-year plan. As a matter of fact, it's also how we build our 3 and 5 year plan. So I threw a little bonus in there for you. So let's go back to that blank piece of paper. You're now building the left-hand side of the page, right? And it says today, then the first row underneath that, I am X years old. My wife is X years old. My oldest and youngest kids are X years old. My truck is X years old. My fleet is X years old. Our compressor, or whatever piece of equipment you want to talk about, our CNC, you know. Then underneath that, put what's your revenue today? What's your profit today? And then anything else that you think is important. You know, how many employees do you have? Underneath that, write down what your clients look like. I deal with middle income, single family homes. I specialize in apartments. My company does tenant improvements for restaurants, you know, whatever. Write that down. That's your thing, right? So now we've got column 1. Now next to it, let's start to add in some numbers. Where it says I am X years old, put down your age. So for me, I already gave it away. I'm 53. My wife is relatively close to my age. She's 54. Wow. But I would write that down, right? And so go ahead and fill that in. I'll give you my numbers here so that you can see them. So I am X years old. I'm 53. My wife is 54. My kids, my daughter is 16. My son is 13. My truck, I've got a Toyota 4Runner. Love that thing. It's 8 years old. Just bought it. I bought it used because I don't want to buy, something that's going to depreciate. So, I don't have a fleet, but if you have a fleet, how old is that? Underneath that, what's your revenue? So revenue is just what's your total sales for the year. Doesn't matter. $250 this year, $250,000 this year, $2.5 million this year, $25 million, $250 million. It doesn't matter. Now, for those of you that are doing $250,000 a year, congratulations, you're on the path. And you might think $250 million. Look, I've been inside lots of companies that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars, and they have exactly the same problems that you have at 250 grand. There's just zeros on their problems, and there's more people in their problems. The problems are always the same. The challenges are always the same. We just have different tools to bring in to fix them. So everybody is going to get captured in this exercise here. It doesn't matter what your revenue is, write it down, right? And then all of the other things you have in the left-hand column. So then what I want you to do is next to that, draw a line so that you've got some space and say in 3 years. So let's just say that right now it's the year 2022. In 3 years, it's going to be the year 2025, right? I'll be 56 years old. In the old days, I would have been retired for a year at that point. Retiring at 55, I am never going to retire, folks. I really am not. I love what I do, and why would I retire, right? My wife is going to be whatever 3 years is plus 54. I'm not going to say it. My daughter's going to be 19. My son's going to be 16. My truck, 4Runner is going to be 11 years old. It's going to have a lot of miles on it too, because I'm taking that thing hunting and fishing as much as I can. I've never been the guy who had a goal to keep my mileage low. No, truck is a tool. My truck is my tool. And it's, you know what it's for? It's for fun. It's for going. I just went mushroom picking the other day. Some of you might have seen the videos. I picked a whole bunch of morels. I go fishing, I go hunting, and I'm not doing enough of it. I want to do more. So by the time my truck's 11 years old, it's going to be nicely worn in, especially for a Toyota. Revenue. What do you want your revenue to be in 3 years? Profit. What do you want your profit to be in 3 years? Now, by the way, this is a very interesting point that some of you will remind me of or talk to me about. You say, well, Dom, the revenue's fine. We're as busy as we want to be. We're just not profitable. Sales are good. Why aren't we profitable? Sales are good, but I'm so busy. If that's the case, reach out to me. I'm not kidding. We've got so many different ways to work with me. I mean, you're already listening to the podcast, right? Maybe you're a member of the free Facebook group called Contractor Strategy Group. There's lots of questions that can be answered on there. Maybe it's finally time for you to invest in yourself and take one of the courses, take one of the classes. There's 30-day construction business, which is a very fast, very intense course for getting you up to speed very quickly and getting you on the path, right? Even though it's called 30-day construction business, it's not for new businesses. It's to get yourself It's like what are those paddles you put on somebody when they're having a heart attack? It just gives you a jolt. It gets you back on the path, right? Then we've got another course called Find and Fix Your 8 Profit Leaks. Guess what we talk about there? We talk about how to find and then fix the 8 profit leaks in your business. We've got Construction Millionaire Academy. That is a special course. You have to prove to me that you're going to be able to add value when you're in there with everybody else, because everybody else in there has already proven that they can be a part of that class, right? That one there is actually the strategic plan, what we're talking about here, come to life and given to you piece by piece by piece so that you can work through it on a very, it's called manageable chunks when we talk about adult learning. You can't give somebody everything and say, yeah, go do this. Let me know how it goes. You got to give them little pieces at a time and then check back and make sure they're doing it. So that's what the Construction Millionaire Academy is. And then get the book if you want. It's on Amazon. I don't even know how much it is on Amazon. It's $10, $19, whatever. That book's called Construction Millionaire Secrets. But all of these things we're talking about get repeated again and again. So you can come at it from multiple angles. One of those angles is going to work for you. One of them's going to click. So there's a difference between revenue and profit. And you and I should be in business to make a profit, not to make revenue, right? Revenue is actually just a big lie. It's a lie people tell each other. Oh, our sales were 25 million last year. But then when you are talking to them privately in a boardroom or on a conference call, and they're like, Tom, we're not making any money. We did 25 million in sales, but we are just always scraping to meet our obligations to our suppliers. We're having trouble with payroll. I don't take home enough money. We're about to have another kid. I'm stressed to the max. How come we're not making money? Everybody wants to do business with us, but we're not making money. Why am I the last one to make money? And it's a crazy situation, and it happens. It happens. But once you have that on paper, you can control it. If it's just floating around in your head or mine, you can't control it. And that's why I'm going to say this again. You guys are going to just nod your head. Leave the office. Tell everybody not to bug you for 1 hour. Take a blank piece of paper, face the corner, put in your headphones, grab a coffee, nice coffee shop, right? And write down your plan. Get your thoughts onto paper. You control them once that happens. How do we move from having strong sales to strong profits? And once you start to ask yourself that question, the answers will come. That's exactly what I do in all of the courses here. How can we question the things that have never been questioned? And I have to give all of you credit. If you're listening to this show, it's because you're kind of a rock star. Without really any support, you've started a business and you've grown it to the point where you're thinking about growing it some more. But they don't teach this stuff in school. In school, they teach you how to be a follower, how to be an employee. They do not teach us how to be leaders. That's what this podcast is about, how to be a business leader, how to think a little bit differently, how to think about the future, how to plan the future, how to build a team that'll help you get there, how to put simple systems and processes in place, simple systems and processes in place so that we can solve problems that other people have and get paid for it. That's what a business is. That's what we do. Anyways, that first column, or I suppose the second column, right? The first column is where we defined the things we wanted to measure over 10 years. The second column is the 3-year plan. You can do another column for 5 years and you can do another column for 10 years. I'm just going to jump to the 10-year column, right? So for me, I'm going to be 63 in 10 years. Now, I apologize to any of you who are 63 and I just sort of stuttered over the word. In my head, I'm still 38 and I have 18-year-old eyes. I'll leave you to think about that. My wife is going to be almost the same age as me. My daughter's going to be 26. My son's going to be 23. And by the way, he hopes that he's at that point a professional lacrosse player. And he might do it. I'm all in for that, right? My truck, my 4Runner is going to be 18 years old and probably still purring like a kitten. Those things go forever. It's going to have a lot more scratches though, and I'm looking forward to that, right? What's my revenue going to be? What is your revenue going to be? What's your profit going to be? How many days a week are you working? What time are you home? What do you want that to be in 10 years? You see, building a 10-year plan just takes something called intent. Once you've written it down, you will be amazed at what can happen next. But you won't be surprised because we're in construction. We get given blueprints. We get given elevations. We see site plans. We see community plans, and they're drawn and dreamed of before they come to life. You and I come along to make them come to life. When somebody says there's going to be a handrail installed here, it's one of you guys listening that installs the actual handrail. It started as a phrase, something said over a boardroom table, or in a construction trailer, or on a conference call. And you're the one that makes it come to life. So we already know that writing down our plans works. Why wouldn't we use that same process for our business? That's all I'm asking you to do. That's all I'm asking you to do is write down your plan. What do you want to be in 10 years? Remember that coaching question I asked? That very powerful coaching question, which changes your perspective, changes the way that you see the world. That question was, how can we move from having strong sales to having strong profits? And when I say that to you, you're automatically going to think of some things, right? You're going to think of the 8 profit leaks in your business because you know you have the profit leaks. You can see them. You know that you have profit leaks in estimating. You know that you have profit leaks in your sales process. You know that you have profit leaks in your engineering or how a job is planned. You just know that, right? But what's the plan for going after it? How are we going to go after it? That's what you need to do, is go after those things. Now, certainly talk to me about accountability. Certainly talk to me about shortcuts. Certainly talk to me about cheat sheets, hacks, scripts. Scripts are a big part of saving yourself time. Simple scripts, for instance, at the beginning of the sales process. Let's use an example for somebody in residential who does residential work. If you have a problem with clients paying you on time, which is a very common problem, or if you have a problem with cash flow, we can actually fix that before jobs start. And we can fix it by having some scripting that says to the homeowner, because remember, we're talking about residential here, to the homeowner, hey, listen, this is what our billing cycle is going to look like. Are you able to do that? If not, can I help you find some financing? Ask that question up front. Why dance around it? I'm here to solve a problem for you. That problem is renovating your bathroom, renovating your kitchen, renovating your home, whatever it is. I solve those kinds of problems. In order to do that, I get paid. I need to get paid well so that I'm happy doing your work and so that I can come back and do any work later for something that might crop up. Sometimes there's surprises. Maybe the house settles after we've done everything and there's a little crack in the door. Happy to come back and fix it, especially if I made money on it. Not so happy to come back if you just beat me up at every dime along the way, right? Now, I can only blame the homeowner so long. I have to blame myself. I don't have the right marketing in place. I don't have the right sales process in place. I don't set the right expectations. My contracts and agreements are not clear on expectations on both sides. And so you see, it's not just demand more from customers or stop taking their calls. It's I can fix the things that I can fix. I can control what I can control. So when you change the question, how can I change from having really strong sales to really strong profits? You'll start to change your answers. You'll start to change your actions. That's what a strategic plan does. Now, the reason that we revisit it every 3 months is because this piece of paper actually becomes our boss. Those of you who already work with me, either in one-on-one coaching or taking the courses, will have heard me say this before. The strategic plan actually becomes our boss, my boss and your boss. You see, we're operating right now in this conversation like the shareholder of your company, like the board of directors. I want you to think of a cowboy hat, cigar chomping guy who's sitting at the head of the boardroom table asking the tough questions. James, you said you're going to do $300,000 this quarter because you're going to do a $1.2 million year. You're off your number. Why? Now, I don't chomp cigars or look very good in a cowboy hat, but it's that same conversation. It's actually you, James, that's sitting there chomping the cigar, wearing the cowboy hat, who wrote this plan. And now we have to answer to that. You see, it's that consistency, it's that accountability that you need to build into the process for yourself. That's why we write it down, because otherwise we kind of forget what we talked about. I don't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning. How am I going to remember back to what I said I was going to do this year or this quarter? So writing it down, keeping it in a safe place, but having it clearly laid out is very important. We just built your 3 and 10 and 3 and 5 and 10-year plan in a very, very simple way. There's obviously a lot more that gets added to this, right? We have to talk about profits and profit margins. We have to talk about allocations, budgeting, all of those things that sound super boring, but they actually help you put simple systems in place in the business. And once they're running, they're great. But the other thing that we haven't talked about here is who's going to help you. Because you might be listening to me right now going, Rubino, this all sounds great. I can't wait to do this, but I don't have anybody to help. It's all me. This whole business is on me, 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 me. If there's got to be a report made, it's me. If there's a sales script to be learned, it's me. If there's a plan to be built, it's me. If we got to have better relationships with our customers, it's me. If somebody has to swing a hammer and drive a nail, it's me. So we have to talk about your people. Once you have this on paper, you can hire somebody at the most entry level. Let's just say you've got a journeyman. Let's say you've got an apprentice. Let's say you have an apprentice who's starting to join you. The plan is we need to be profitable in every job. So the plan, let's say Andy's our new apprentice. The plan, Andy, is to make sure that we know we've got 3 hours to do this wall. Let's just say we're going to demo a wall. Andy, we've got 3 hours to demo the wall. Do you think you can do this in 3 hours? Andy's going to say yes or no, right? We're going to have a conversation about it. Andy, I'm going to give you 3 hours to demo the wall. Here's how I want you to demo it. Here's where I want you to put everything when it's done. As soon as you're done, I want you to come and find me. Okay, so now we've got a plan, and Andy's either going to make it or he's not, right? We've all gone through tons of apprentices. But what if Andy comes back in an hour and a half? Andy just helped you get to your profit goal. If Andy comes to you in 4 hours, Andy is not helping you, or it wasn't really a 3-hour job, right? But we can figure that out. If you just are listening to this part going, well, everybody I hire just does what they want anyway, I can't manage these guys, then you have the problem. It's you. It's your leadership. It's your lack of communication. Or me. If you don't do this exercise, if you don't get the value from this podcast, whose fault is it? Is it yours or mine? It's mine. It's Dominic's. I take the responsibility. Now, you have to take the responsibility to do it or try it or do it and get it wrong. I'm happy if you do this and get it wrong. What happens if you get this 10-year exercise wrong? What's the worst thing that can happen? You're only a little bit more profitable. You're only getting home 3 days a week on time instead of never on time. What's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that could happen is that you refuse the message, that you refuse to listen. Or if you don't like me or my style, that you refuse to go find somebody else who's got a better style that lines up with yours. You see, my goal, I don't care if you listen to me or not. I don't care if you follow my plan or not. I really don't. What I care about is that you get what you want. You're the most important part of this whole shooting match. It's not me. I'm just the facilitator. I'm the vector. I'm the person who brings in interesting stories, great guests. We have some fantastic guests on the show. All of those to keep adding ammunition in your mind so you start to see the possibility. And then you learn this exercise and you go, you know what? Dom's right. I'm going to have a coffee this week. I'm going to leave the office. I'm going to tell everybody I'm in a meeting with Dominic. I'm going to go write this down. I'm going to see what my business could look like in 10 years. And if you only take one action from that, you're ahead of the game. Of the thousands of people who listen to this show, you're a fraction of the millions of people who don't. And so you're already taking action. Just take the next step. And if you want more help with that, get in touch with me. This is exactly why I'm here. I'm here because I love what I do. I love the people I serve. I love everybody I've spoken to, with the exception of a couple. There's been a couple of donkuses out there, but that sorts itself out pretty quickly. Just shoot me a text message, 604-837-8361. I have more to lose than you do. Like, really. Now, our first meeting is only going to be 20 minutes, but I want to hear what your goal, where you are today and what your goal is. And if you've done this exercise, tell me or send it to me in advance of the meeting. That will save us a ton of time. If you don't do the exercise, that's okay too, because maybe you're driving or maybe you're walking the floor of your shop or a construction site. That's okay. But know what your goal is. If you've got a goal, you can get to that goal. If you don't have a goal, where are we going to go? If you want a goal, but you're not sure how to get a goal, well, I can help with that as well, because we've got exercises. We've got ways of thinking that are available to us that we can use. You see, construction's not a new industry, is it? Construction's been around since, I don't know, the first guy leaned two sticks together and threw a hide over it to shelter his family. I'm thinking of caveman types, right? Contractors built the pyramids. Contractors and subcontractors built the Roman roads and built the Great Wall of China. We've been around for a long time. So for us to think that today we're the only one dealing with this problem in building a business or having tough employee markets, come on, give our heads a shake. Contracting and subcontracting has been around for a very long time. And because of that, just like in a forge, it's been heated up and beaten hard with a hammer again and again and again. And the people who follow a system for that get the success. The people who just beat cold steel, hoping that it's going to be something else, they're always frustrated. They're not making their number. They're getting home late and sore because they're beating cold steel, right? Follow a plan. Take action. Do something in your business today. And again, I've laid out quite a few things for you here today to take action on. The one coaching question I want to leave you with is, what's the difference between revenue and profit? How can you change your business from having strong sales to a company that focuses on strong profits? Now, some of you might be listening going, Dom, actually profits are okay. I just don't get enough time with my family. Got a young family. I want to see them. Excellent. So change the question again. It's your question. How do we change from having strong sales and strong profits to having enough time away with my family? And when you get to that point, don't be shy. Write some stuff down on a page. It comes to life. You bring it to life. You've already brought the company to life. You've already brought deals to life. You've gone and met people, homeowners or commercial property managers or GCs. They've given you an idea and you've run with it. You know how to build that. Now let's learn how to build the business side. All right, let's wrap it up from here. That was the Q2 review of the strategic plan. If you want to hear another part of it, go back and listen to the Q1 episode, quarter episode. And in 3 months, guess what we're going to do? The Q3 exercise. You see, I set a goal for myself to add more value to my listeners, to the people who said, yeah, I'll listen to what you got to say, Dom. And so if you've done that, I have to do my best as well, right? So over time, you've probably heard the format of the podcast change a little bit. Some things that are minor, like we've added music. Vlad is my audio and video guy. He's done a really good job of organizing everything and making it flow together. I've got more ideas for how it can flow a little bit better. I've chosen not to have advertising on my show because I want to keep it content focused. For those of you that have been listening for a long time, there was a time we didn't have story time with Dom, but people love it. They love story time with Dom. There was a time we didn't have those dumb dad jokes. I don't know about those ones, but they're fun for me, and it's my company, so we're going to keep doing it. And the purpose of that piece is to open your mind to the possibility of the question we just asked today. How do we change from having strong revenues to strong profits? How do we change from having strong revenues and profits to having more time for me to be a dad, for me to be a mom, for me to be the greatest uncle in the world, whatever it is? You get to define the question. All right. As I said, we're going to wrap it up. If you want to contact me, find me somewhere. Find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. You can shoot me a text, 604-837-8361. Just say, Dom, let's talk. And then we'll talk. I mean, it's that simple. There's no friction there. That's the easy, like it's a text message. It's the easiest way to get in touch with anybody. And from there, we'll figure out how to talk. And listen, maybe we get on the phone and we realize we don't really like each other. Then we can have that polite phone call where, oh, okay, great. Yeah, I'll get back to you later. Great. Yeah, we'll get back to you. Okay, thank you. Then we're done. 20 minutes. Or it is the most valuable 20 minutes you've invested this year in your family, in your business, and in your life priorities. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. Can we make it that? Yeah, we can make it that. If we stay focused, if we follow an agenda for the meeting, if we have an understanding of where we are today and where we want to get to in the future. So go ahead and, if you want to make an appointment with me, let's do that. It's really not going to take very long. 20 minutes is our first meeting. And then from there, what I like to do is I have a 20-minute meeting first, first to make sure that you're serious about your business and that you've got a business. You guys would not believe the phone calls I get and from the places in the world I get. So first we have to have that 20-minute phone call, but really the goal of that is to set the agenda for the 1 hour meeting. And that 1 hour meeting is an intense coaching meeting. You need to get value from that meeting. You need to be prepared, just like when you go to a production meeting or you're reviewing blueprints. If the blueprints are a mess, what are you going to build? Just nothing but frustration comes from that. So we have to make sure that we're clear on the outcome, right? Coaching language, clear on the outcome. All right, folks, thank you for checking in. I very much appreciate it. Let's end this episode here. Thanks.